Thank you, Lisa. Now I would like to call upon Dr. Ramin Rafie. Hello, Rafie.
Hello, good morning. Good afternoon.
Good morning.
Good morning, Dr.
Let me share the short biography of Ramin Rafie. Ramin Rafie graduated from UCLA and went on to UCI for medical school, where amongst his many leadership roles, he was elected class president after residency in primary care. He became employed by what ended up becoming the nation's largest ACO, ranked in the top one nationally, where they proved to Medicare that house calls were a more cost-effective methods of providing primary care. For over a decade, while practicing primary care, he was also a hospice director and led two offices in Southeast Michigan. Recently, he became certified in AI in medicine and is currently working on his executive MBA. He currently consults medtech companies and is looking to expand and grow his consulting role in AI and medical technology startups. Ramin, the stage is yours in next 30 minutes.
Thank you very much for that very warm introduction. You guys can hear me, I assume?
Yes.
So my talk is about how AI will help advance medicine in the 21st century. And it's a pleasure and honor to be able to present to this conference and internationally. So disclosures, as the announcer announced, I am an advisor and strategist for several medtech companies such as Enlighten AI, Akiva Health, which are both RPM companies. I also am on the executive committee of Angel MD, as well as the Yuan is a Chinese digital magazine about artificial intelligence, and I'm one of their contributors. And Cordonista is another private company that I help consult with. So what exactly is AI? I think most people are familiar with Amazon and Google. Amazon, when somebody makes a purchase on Amazon, the AI engine makes a recommendation to you based on your buying habits of what you're more likely to purchase in the future. So it learns what your habits are, it learns what your preferences are, and it predicts your behavior. Likewise, Google has YouTube, and YouTube does the same thing with the videos you watch. The more videos you watch, it makes predictions on other videos that you would like that are along your same lines of interest. And Google also incorporates an assistant, just like Amazon incorporates Alexa. And I know the Google Assistant, the more you talk into it, the more it understands what you're talking about. And it has a better idea of your little nuances and how you speak, and it'll understand how you talk better as time goes on. So medicine continues to advance at a great speed. I believe at this point in time, medicine is making about a lifetime of progress every decade. And a lot of that is expedited because of all the advances that we have in technology and science. One of the easiest and simplest examples of that is the COVID-19. The usual timeline for coming out with a new vaccine was about 4 years. With COVID-19, because of today's day of technology and science, they were able to come out with a new vaccine in less than 1 year. It was the very first time, to my knowledge, an mRNA vaccine was utilized. And I think going forward, that is going to be the basis of all future vaccinations, is using the mRNA technology. And that's one of the conundrums in medicine, is that information and medicine advances so quickly that physicians have difficulty keeping up with it. So what are the problems in healthcare today? There's a tremendous amount of burnout, and burnout is not limited to the United States. I believe physicians and frontline health workers all over the world in developed and undeveloped countries experience burnout. I know in the more developed countries that utilize an EMR, although the EMRs were designed to make life easier, they have actually added a tremendous amount of burdensome to the workflow. This has been documented in many articles. One of the most popular ones is one titled "Death by 1,000 Clicks," which illustrates all the examples of how many clicks somebody has to go through to put in something as simple as an order, a medication, or do an H&P or visit. There's also a tremendous amount of physician and nurse turnover that has been exacerbated by the COVID-19 pandemic. In America, there's also the advancement of advanced practice practitioner, which are like physician assistants and nurse practitioners. They are getting more and more autonomy in different states. I know in California, they passed a law allowing nurse practitioners to practice independently starting in 2023. And when that happens, there's really no incentive for somebody to become a physician if an advanced practitioner is going to be able to do the same job. So keeping up with all the medical knowledge and advances is a never-ending battle in medicine. And in addition to that, in America, there's a lot of burdensome regulatory requirements. A lot of these burdensome requirements are put out by CMS and Medicare, and insurances follow, which is perhaps one of the reasons a lot of physicians choose to practice medicine outside of the insurance-based system, where they open up their own cash-based practice or pursue a direct practice care or direct primary care. Keeping up with the advances in technology that further advance care is never ending. Telemedicine has been around for over a decade, but in this past year, it has very much evolved because of COVID-19, and more and more people prefer telemedicine just because it's asynchronous, it's on demand, and you can do it from the comfort of your own home or your own smartphone, and you don't have to waste time sitting in traffic driving to a doctor's office. The problem with all this, it's also adding a lot of stress on the healthcare system. Healthcare systems, a lot of them are not being run efficiently enough, and they're not financially viable. There are several healthcare systems that have shut down. Emergency rooms have shut down nationally because they were continuously losing money. And healthcare education continues to be a struggle as medical students are graduating today with $200,000 or $300,000 in debt before they even start a residency, where they're dedicated to servitude for the next 3 to 5 years. And as I mentioned before, COVID-19 has really exacerbated and catalyzed all of this above. So the EMR mandate was rolled out, but it was not rolled out very well. It's not a user-friendly system, and physicians have to encounter silos of health system information that are difficult to interact with each other. So the hospital lab might have its own independent EMR system. Outside labs will have their own independent EMR system. Health plans like Blue Cross Blue Shield or Medicare might have their own EMR system. The physician's office will have their own. And all these EMRs do not communicate with each other because they were not really mandated to do so. The interoperability is actually one of the more recent requirements put out by Medicare, is that all these health systems, their EMR systems, should be interoperable and they can communicate back and forth. Now, in some cities, this is happening a lot easier than others, and AI will help facilitate that. But even in large cities where you have 3 healthcare systems, oftentimes the hospitals will not talk across the different health systems to one another, and that is still a large barrier as the data gets trapped in these silos. So what will AI do? AI will help improve workflows. As I mentioned, people interacting with computers, the doctors and the nurses entering information into computers. They will help facilitate that workflow. AI will also help facilitate computers communicating with other computers, as I was mentioning, in healthcare interoperability. One of the big areas that I'm personally working on is advancing healthcare in the home. Remote patient monitoring. Remote patient monitoring is a software and or a hardware platform where people with chronic issues, the high utilizers, are put on these devices and software to help monitor them in the home. But what ends up happening is these software and machines create a tremendous amount of data. And most physicians are already burdened with the amount of patient load that they have to carry. And these RPM devices or software will utilize an AI engine to sift through all the mountains of data and just highlight the little parts that show maybe perhaps something is wrong and highlight that to the physician. Likewise, there's a lot of opportunity for AI to lighten the load in a lot of image-rich fields like pathology, dermatology, radiology, and ophthalmology. I'll give you examples of this coming up. And also there's an example of Google who has devised a device to help screen eyes for macular degeneration or diabetic retinopathy. And this device can be used in third world countries where there is a shortage of physicians, where there is lack of access to specialty care. And this can also be used in the primary care settings where you can more effectively screen patients for these chronic eye diseases and filter out and triage the patients that have to go and see an ophthalmologist. And an ophthalmologist's time is more so spent taking care of the more sick patients. Problems in healthcare that AI can fix. So currently we practice medicine on an evidence-based system. As the EMRs continue to advance, the EMRs can not only pull data from articles in real time based on what's on the internet, but EMRs will be able to pull patients that are in the EMR system that meet the same criteria, whether it's being admitted with the same diagnoses, they have the same demographics and the same comorbidities. The EMR can actually make a recommendation to the practitioner on what is the best course of treatment given this symptom and sign, and up to the practitioner to decide which direction to go into. And that's called a direction of intelligence-based medicine. I was also mentioning about radiology. Today, each day a radiologist goes to work, they have to read thousands, if not hundreds, of x-rays, CTs, and MRIs. And an AI engine can actually sift through all those films automatically and highlight the most worrisome films to the top of the queue and bring those up to the attention of the radiologist so they look at those first and give those initial attention, and those studies are brought up to the top of the queue and get faster attention. Likewise, for pathology, in the past when biopsies were done in the operating room, a surgeon would then send it off to a pathologist. They'd oftentimes have to wait hours until they would get the biopsy results back from the pathologist if they had clear margins. Today, there are machines in operating rooms that one creates a slide and puts the specimen in the pathology machines, and the machine can give answers within minutes as to whether or not there are clear margins in these slides. I also mentioned the ability for EMRs to be interoperable. One of the biggest also areas that AI can help advance EMRs is the voice recognition. The software to enter data into the EMR that's becoming better and better. And one of the biggest proponents of that has been Nuance, which recently brought out their DAX system. If you guys are interested, you can Google the DAX system by Nuance, and there's demos available online that a practitioner just dictates, and so long as the machine is in the room, the machine is able to create a doctor's note or practitioner's note just from the conversation between the practitioner and the patient. So currently, the cost of AI can be prohibitive, but eventually, the benefits of AI will far outweigh the cost of not implementing AI. And the health systems that will continue to survive and be profitable are the ones that learn and leverage AIs to their benefit and to the benefit of their workforce and their patient population. Finally, I want to mention that a lot of physicians and practitioners are concerned about job security, especially in radiology. People had thought that once AI comes out, radiologists are going to lose their jobs. That definitely is not the case. If anything, there's actually an ongoing shortage of radiologists as well as other physicians. And AI's role is there to augment and facilitate a physician's job. I don't think it will ever replace a physician's job. What are the limitations of AI? So this is similar to some of the slides that the previous presenter had, but AI is faster and more accurate than people. It's inclusive and it augments differently able individuals, as I mentioned previously. It relieves a tremendous amount of information load, and it creates new and improved interfaces all the time. However, the disadvantages of AI is that it lacks creativity. It lacks emotion or empathy. And in fields like hospice medicine, this is something that AI, I think, will never be able to predict somebody's mortality. Personally, I've been a hospice director for over a decade. And while I've gotten better at predicting people's mortality, it is still very much a guessing game. And I'm convinced that no matter how much data and machine learning is fed into an AI engine, I don't think it will be able to predict accurately how many days are left in anyone's life. Likewise, it's very difficult to instill ethics into AI. The disadvantages initially is that it will cost more upfront, but eventually, I think the leveraging that technology will more than help pay for the technology. And there's few practical products that have reached the market yet for AI, but there will be more and more coming within the next few years. Finally, this is my last slide, or actually my second to last slide. This has been said by a lot of different people, but this is Dr. Bertrand Mesco, who's also known as the medical futurist. And he mentions that AI will not replace medical professionals. However, those medical professionals that use AI will replace those that don't. So it's important to keep perspective about job security. If anybody is interested more about learning about AI in medicine, I encourage you to check out abaim.org. It's the American Board of Artificial Intelligence in Medicine. That's the governing body I got my certification through. It's led by Dr. Anthony Chang, who is spearheading the AI movement. I graduated medical school only 2 decades ago, and there was absolutely no curriculum about AI. And today, Dr. Chang is spearheading the movement to help incorporate AI into the medical curriculums nationally. You can also come across many physicians or other practitioners that are interested in AI, either on the ABAIM website, or if you browse LinkedIn, you will come across many of them. Thank you for your time. If anybody wants to reach out to me, you can just look me up on LinkedIn, and I look forward to communicating with you. If anybody has any questions, I'm open for any questions at this point in time. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ramin. Yeah, we truly agree that AI has a tremendous effect in the healthcare system. The reading, in terms of records, patients, insurance policies, whatever. AI has come to the new revolution. So one of the questions is, like, is there any bias in existing these AI models used in the advancement of the medicine? Like bias with respect to religion, race, nationality, age, sexuality, gender? Is there any bias when it comes to the models used by the?
There has been biases just because I haven't seen it in medicine, but when they've used for image recognition, the machine can only learn the information that's fed into it. So if the machine is not led a diverse population of people, it will only know the people that are fed into it. So
Yes.
It's very important that the information fed into it is a cross-sectional diversity of people from every background, every nationality, and religion. And ultimately, the machine only learns what we teach it to learn.
So yeah, that's one of it. So I think there is a tremendous shift in this AI-based medical advancements in the near future. After this COVID, I think the importance of AI, telemedicine, digital health has been profound importance. Thank you so much, Dr. Ramin. This was very thoughtful very encouraging and very aspiring for the new generations. And a good applause for Dr. Ramin.
Thank you very much. My pleasure.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ramin.
Thank you, Ramin. Moving to the next speaker, I would like to call upon Melissa Akob. Hello, Melissa.
Hi, how are you?
Yeah, I'm fine. Let me share the short biography of Melissa. Melissa Akob is an energy mindset coach. She helps business owners and entrepreneurs close the business deals while attracting more wealth and happiness in their personal lives. She has earned her level 7 master accreditation as a master life coach. Her niche is working on the inner child, past Taruma.